Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of 54 Yards. I'm your lovely co-host, Carlos Mojica. And alongside me, none other than my dearest friend, Cameron Theory. Mr. Theory, how you doing, sir?
What's good?
Another day, another dollar.
Another day,
week,
another
another
dollar.
stress-free.
Yeah, hopefully stress-free. I mean,
if it's not stress-free for y'all, I don't know what to tell you, bro. So.
Nah, it should be. You know, I'm not too concerned about that. I just kind of want to see good football being played. Consistency. And kind of just building off of last week's performance against Ole Miss. Excited to just kind of, like you said, just sit back and watch the football and not worry too much about our team's results. Obviously, Texas has a bye as well, so like you can actually sit down and watch.
Yeah, big boy Mac in the background protecting the land. You know, all good. But again, none other than your boys over here to 54 yards. If y'all haven't checked out the last episode of 54 yards the week after, go check that out. It should be out, correct?
Yeah, it's out already.
Okay, perfect.
It's out already.
Yeah. Good to go. Y'all go check it. Y'all go run it up. And now for this week's slate of games, like you said, we had a bye. Y'all essentially have a bye, but I feel like it's more. This is like a good game for y'all to get like a tune-up game. Get like everything just kind of going. Well, y'all had a bye 2 weeks ago, right?
No, our last bye was against.
It was before we played us. Okay.
Yeah.
So this can just kind of work as a bye. Get your offense really implemented with the new offensive coordinator. Start just setting the tone with the run game.
Play some young guys.
Have Jackson Arnold throw the ball a little bit more just to get him more comfortable back there and whatnot. So, I mean, like I said, if y'all do lose or if the game is close, I just don't know what to tell you, bucko.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be the case. I just want to see some good football. Just like execute the fundamentals well. Don't turn the ball over. No sacks. Like just play clean football. You don't even have to like score a ton of points because like obviously I don't think they're gonna score on us, but just good football. Like I just want to see just clean execution, solid drives, hitting some explosives, those things.
Well, I mean, I guess if you want to pop it off since you're already starting off with all that.
Yeah, I mean, Maine isn't a good football team at all. Unfortunately, they really present no challenges. They just lost to Rhode Island by 14 points, and to put it in perspective, Minnesota beat Rhode Island by 40 points. So, not a great football team. This is one of those, SEC easy games that everyone has always talked about in the past. But for us, I'm glad we have the game. Being able to play back at home, have Jackson at home, get him more comfortable with the new offensive coordinator, put a good game plan together, and get kind of some confidence. Obviously, yes, the talent and the team you're playing isn't, the caliber of the rest of the teams you're going to see the rest of the year. But, we're on a 3-game losing streak. You get a win. You feel better. You're 5-4. You're like, okay, obviously, our chances to make the playoffs aren't going to be there. But we have 3 more games against marquee teams in the conference. You can feel good. Build some momentum for next year. You can take it one game at a time after the main game, play Missouri on the road, but that's a very winnable game in my opinion, especially now that they have Brady Cook out. You just take it one game at a time, get some guys back, and just get some of these young offensive linemen, in my opinion, reps. Obviously, they've recruited really well on that side of the ball. I want to see some of the young guys that are in the class this year get some reps. Like obviously the transfer portal guys haven't really been doing it. And you're not playing for a championship this year. You have nothing to lose in a game like this. And these guys, these freshmen can play the last 4 games of the year and still redshirt. So you also got to look at it like that. Obviously, you don't want people getting hurt and stuff. But, hey, I mean, get them some experience, especially while you can utilize, not having to burn a redshirt, So get them the reps. But, yeah, I mean, all in all, this game should be over at halftime. I think now a question the fan base brought up, which I thought was interesting, because they were like, should we see Hawkins in this game in the second half? And obviously, yes, that means you're blowing the team out. But in my opinion, I feel like Jackson needs to play 3 full quarters of good football, clean football, continue to get reps, continue to get snaps. He's your guy moving forward through the rest of the season. And then I would give Hawkins that 4th quarter for himself. But I'm not gonna be like, as a team, like, hey, yeah, we're up by 40 points or whatever, just run the ball. Like, no, run the full offense still with Hawkins, even in the fourth quarter. Like, they should run the full offense the whole game, and then Jackson should get three quarters. But that'd be my expectation. I hope they do that. I don't want them to go into bleed the clock mode. Like, we need the reps on offense. So
yeah, that'd be the biggest thing. One thing that that is written here, it says Oklahoma's pass defense. How would they respond to one of their worst performances this season to an FCS team that only averages 187 yards a game through the air? I didn't realize that was one of y'all's worst performances.
Well, I think that's a little drastic. Yeah, the box score shows that we didn't play that well, but it was literally a handful of explosive plays in the Ole Miss game. You take those plays away, we really shut them down defensively. Teams are going to get chunk plays and things like that. Like I said in the week after podcast, we had 10 or 13 explosive plays, which are over 10 yards or more, and they had 6, but they hit for like 30, 40, 60 yards, like big sustainable chunk plays. You take those out the game, they don't do what they do. So I wouldn't say it's like it's not like we just were getting like nickel and dimes and you know what I'm saying, like just.
Well, I guess you could say to their defense as well as their best receiver was out and they still did that on y'all.
Yeah, but I mean,
because you can have him in and it can just be the same outcome.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still like they were just throwing to their tight ends. It was just like missed tackles, things like that. Jackson Dart made some plays in the scramble drill where he should have got sacked and found a guy. Stuff like that's going to happen. I can't really credit that to the DBs if like the QB is going to make a play, especially you're covering for 5-6 seconds. Like people are going to get open, right? So they played good. I mean, I'm not too concerned about that. Like it's still Ole Miss. It's still Lane Kiffin. This is a good football team. Like at the end of the day in college football, you're going to give up some yards, especially when you play better teams. So I'm not really concerned about that. But like even the rest of the year, obviously LSU has a good offense, but their QB, susceptible to throwing picks. We saw it this past week. Same thing with Milroe too. I mean, these teams have good offenses, but their QBs, like Jackson Dart, I feel like doesn't make the catastrophic errors that Milroe and Nussmeier make. I feel like he's just more, he's just better with the football. He doesn't turn over as much. I feel like those guys, as talented as they are, they'll just do some WTF plays, and you're like, why are you throwing it there? What are you doing?
Nussmeier against A&M.
Yeah, so like I feel like that will play in our favor, and I'm going to give some criticism to Billy Bowman. He hasn't had the greatest season, and I think what the fans and people around college football are realizing is, I mean, Billy is always giving up plays. I mean, he's a good DB, but he does give up plays, but it's because he's just hyper aggressive. And this year, he's not getting the turnovers that he did last year. Last year, he had 6 interceptions. This year, he only has 2. So, and 2's still good, right? But like, he's not. Last year, I felt like he was getting an interception every game. Like, he's not doing that right now. And that's been kind of costing us the last couple of games. We've been turning the ball over, and we haven't been getting turnovers either, like we normally have. So, but yeah, I think we respond. I mean,
well, the other thing too is y'all
they also could have run the football.
Y'all allowed. Is this an OU high? Is this a team record ever? 10 sacks in the game. Is that the most ever y'all allowed?
Yeah, that's the most ever in a game.
So y'all allowed 10 sacks this game.
And we allowed 9
school record, before. And then 9 the game before.
Yeah.
When you play Maine, and you have you want to obviously work on your offensive line because that's a big part of the game, and a big part of the reason y'all's offense has also gone so drastically bad this year. How do you not let them get that false confidence of like, oh, I'm ready, just because they're playing Maine? They're gonna probably protect better and do better against Maine.
Yeah.
But how do you like go from false confidence to just building off of this is how you're supposed to block?
Well, it's just all continuity. I think a lot of people don't realize with offensive line play, it's really just technique. Like if you have your technique dialed, you can pretty much block anybody. It's not, you don't got to be the strongest. You just got to be dialed in your technique. And I feel like that's been like the main issue. And then when guys have gotten hurt, we've had so many injuries. It's all on the team that you have young guys coming in who they might have good technique in practice or against scouts, but it's different when you're playing somebody. At the end of the day, the game is that much faster. The players are that much better, and you have to really be on your P's and Q's in a blocking standpoint. And that's the unfortunate part about last week. I mean, Jacob Sexton, We gave up literally no sacks, and then once he got hurt, it was just like
sack after sack
after sack. So it's just like one injury caused the offensive line to break. We finally have had some continuity with starters, which I think is a big important piece. You can't shuffle offensive linemen every game. Like you got to find your five and play them multiple games so they get comfortable in their spots, in their roles, instead of moving like, oh, this guy plays right tackle, let's put him at guard this week, or let's move this guard to center, or let's move this center to guard. Like, you can't keep doing that because
especially for the player, because they have to learn all these new different techniques, and
new blocking schemes. Like, and especially when we've been dealing with the offensive coordinator, like we're running another playbook again. We're not running anything in Latrell. We're basically running Jeff Levy 2.0. Obviously, there's going to be some wrinkles in there because he's not Jeff Levy, but they're from the same tree. So you're going to get similar stuff. And a lot of these guys, they know it. They've been at Oklahoma a couple of years, so they should know the system and whatnot. But,
well, it's also kind of tough, too, because I guess it just kind of depends, because I don't know if he's going to try to reenact Jeff Levy. Which I guess could go bad for y'all as well, because yes, y'all would score a lot of points, but y'all would have, like you said, 30-second 3-and-outs. Just by just doing dumb stuff.
And I also think like that's a problem too, is like when you have a good offensive or good defensive coordinator like Zach Alley, and then obviously Brent Venables, like you want to be able to have some longer drives. So those gurus over there on defense, obviously, yes, you want your defense to rest, but you want these guys to be able to scheme some stuff up. You want them to be able to draw some stuff up. Come up with some different pressures and looks that they have more time to actually coach on the sideline, as opposed to, dang, we just got off the field, we got to go right back out there. And then that kind of hinders your strength as a unit, as a team. Like you're not even letting your defense really do what they do,
Question I just thought of. What do coordinators do when it's not their turn? Like they're always up in the press box and whatnot. But
when their team's out on the field?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So usually, like it just depends. Obviously, what you do right after a series is everyone meets up, offense or defense. You meet up kind of as a group. It's very quick, and then you split up into your position groups, and then you talk to your respected coach for your position. And then at least when I was playing, we didn't have iPads and shit. So it was just like kind of what Crawford was seeing. Crawford was on the sideline with us. We had a few coaches in the box, but he was on the sideline with us, and he kind of just talked about what we were seeing. Then you have some coaches in the box. A lot of them will talk to you at halftime and see what they're seeing, and then or they'll get the call from the headset, and then the coach down low will talk to you. But you kind of just go through that. You take your little breather and things like that. The shitty part is if you're on special teams or something like that, when it's second down, you got to get ready. When it's third down, you're for sure got to get ready, and you got to just be. And then if the offense moves the chains, you can sit back down or you can kind of stand. So that's the tough part about being either an offensive or defensive player. Is if you play either special teams unit, you got to kind of be like
always
so aware, and you're trying to like get coached on the job, especially if you're a starter. Like there's a lot of guys that play, that are backups that are on special teams, but they're obviously listening to their, respective unit coaches.
Yeah.
But if you're a starter, it's tough. You're like, damn, bro, I got to go cover this punt, then go play, and that's when like rotations are important and things like that. Because even when people are like, oh, why is this guy in? It's like, trust me, you got to play the long game. Like this guy might not be the best DB, might not be the best offensive or defensive lineman or running back or receiver, but you got to get guys. You got to keep them fresh, and you just can't have one guy playing every single play. Like it's just not realistic. So, but yeah, I mean that's a good question.
Fun fact about this game: Santiago Moss is the son of Randy Moss. So hey, maybe he'll get some special magic, start mossing y'all boys out there, and y'all lose.
Nah, please. That's actually crazy. Why is he at Maine?
That is crazy.
Like that's just random.
So looking at just the remaining parts of y'all's schedule, where'd y'all go? You got Maine, Missouri, Alabama, LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
This should be a win.
For sure.
So you're sitting at 5-4.
Yeah.
What is the likelihood of y'all losing these 3 games to not make a bowl game? In your honest opinion, what is your likelihood?
I'd probably say 50%. Okay. I really, really believe we'll beat Missouri. I think we have a better roster than them. And like the thing is, even though we're hurt, we have still a good roster. Our defense is still really good. And if we don't turn the football over like we did in the games we've lost, it'd be a different story. I'm not saying we'd won, but there's some that, you could have won vice versa. Missouri, they weren't really that good this year in general. And now that the fact that they don't even have their starting QB, I think they're, not the greatest. I don't know how they're still ranked, in my opinion. I mean, their offense is not good at all now that they have no quarterback. Every time they played like a team of some kind of talent, they've struggled. I mean, Auburn should have beat them. Vanderbilt should have beat them. Missouri won in the fourth quarter in those type of games. So I have a good feeling. Obviously, they're going to be jacked up. They're going to want to beat us and things like that. But I'm not really worried because they don't even have their backups is not that good. I think Jackson Arnold is playing a lot better, even though we lost last week. He played really good, in my opinion, and I think he's going to build out that performance against Maine that he's going to have. So I really like our chances there. Against Alabama, it's Alabama. They're gonna. It just depends, honestly, what happens this week with both teams. I think if Alabama or LSU loses, whoever loses that game, I think they're kind of gonna just be. They're not gonna have that same intensity to close the season out because they're probably gonna miss the playoff. Whoever loses that game is probably missing the playoff, and I think that'll determine what type of team either shows up to Norman or the team we play in Death Valley. I think those games are winnable. I do. If as long as we don't turn the football over, especially the Bama game, you got them at home. Obviously we're not having a good season, but the crowd's going to be fired up. Alabama hasn't been to Norman since like 2002 or something like that. So that's a high quality team. Their defense is really, really leaky. Obviously they play good against Missouri, but we just talked about how Missouri doesn't have a good offense. So you can there's plays to be made on there. Now, obviously you got to protect. You got to go to block like we haven't been able to do this year. And Jalen Milroe, he's a good QB, but I think Brent Venables and the experienced defense, and then the challenge of going against that offense, I think the defense will play a good game as well. LSU, same type of thing. Just kind of reiterating on some of the things I just said.
That's going to be our toughest game for sure.
I think that'll be the toughest game.
Are you going?
I might go. Yeah, the plan is to maybe go. I might go with the boy Mike. Shout out Mike from Boot Up Customs, and go to that game. Yeah, I think it'll be easily the hardest environment we played in, especially for a young QB and a shaky offensive line and stuff like that. But obviously, that could be the game too, where there's going to be one of these games in the last three besides Maine where everything I do think is going to just click on defense and offense, and he's going to finally play that one complete game finally this year, and it could be that game against LSU on the road in the last game of the year, and that could be the game where Jackson Arnold's talent really showcases. We could have some guys back like Farouk and Deion Burks and Andrew Anthony. Maybe those are some guys that we get back for these last three games and helps the offense tremendously. So there's a lot of question marks and stuff like that, but I do think we win one of these three for sure. I do think we do, and I think the best chance is against Missouri, and then the other ones, I'd give us a puncher's chance depending on how we're looking. So
okay. So
yeah.
What does a off season look like for Oklahoma if y'all don't make a bowl game?
Yeah,
that's pretty big.
Yeah, I don't really think it changes anything, to be honest. Bowl game or not, the bowl games are kind of just another, just more practices, more reps if you're not playing for a playoff game now. Especially there's no New Year's Six bowls anymore. They're all playoff games. So if you're not making that, then honestly, I think that goes with anything, not even just our school. Like if you're one of those blue bloods or a team that wants to compete for championships every year and you're not in the playoffs, I think the bowl game you look at it as just additional practices, additional development, additional game. And I'm not really tripping about it, bro. There's been so many nuances this year that have just kind of derailed the season. I mean, it's an anomaly. We had 5 receivers hurt. We had a ton of offensive linemen hurt. We had a firing of the OC in the middle of the year, probably the wrong hire, So I don't think the not making a bowl game really changes anything. I think the plan, regardless, is going to be the plan, and that's going to be to go get a top of the line OC from any of the countries or any of the teams in the country that we're looking at. I know we're looking at a couple guys. Not going to say because I got my sources, but we're looking at a couple guys, and I think we'll make the right hire. And you got a good chance to bring in a good OC. You retain Jackson Arnold. You get a couple more offensive line pieces. We have a great offensive line high school class coming in. Some good transfers. Hopefully in the portal, get some other skill guys that can help in areas. And I think you get all the receivers back. So I look at it like that as, you just gotta build off of, what you did wrong this year. And it was really just the one side of the ball. And I think BV knows if he just gets a, elite offensive coordinator, which OU will, I guarantee you they'll do their best to get. He knows he'll have a championship contender. The defense is good enough. You just need even an average offense, especially now, to even make the playoffs. So if you can get average to good, that's going to completely, flip Oklahoma's trajectory. And the job is really appealing. You're going to go get an OC that can go be the OC at Oklahoma. It's a blue blood program, puts out, NFL guys. The talent pool is really rich. Like, there's a ton of talented people on the roster. And it's a great resume builder because of how bad the offense is right now. You get an OC in next year that completely changes the offense. He immediately becomes probably the hottest name, one of the hottest names in college football as a head coach in the next year or 2 years. So I feel like we're in a good spot. Obviously, the season's not what we want it to be, but we're also an extremely young team. I kind of think we're like similar to Texas the year y'all lost to Washington in the Alamo Bowl. Obviously, like, we ought to have as many injuries and stuff like that as us. But like, from a young youth standpoint, you kind of saw like the trajectory the following year when y'all made the playoffs last year, where you had a ton of good guys, a ton of young guys. You just needed a couple little pieces here and there, and then, like, boom, the team was off and running. I kind of feel like that's where we're at, especially if we can get healthy and get a good OC. So.
Well, I'm just asking these questions because we're on a bye this week. There's not really
No,
much
I
for me
love
to
it.
talk about.
I totally forgot. Yeah, I was
Wanted to buy just players get healthy,
Mhm.
especially the ones that have been pretty banged up. Just continue to work on what we're working on. Obviously, I think I don't know if we expected like so. I mean, I don't think our offensive line is a problem, but like I feel like people are like commenting on our offensive line a lot. But I feel like maybe it's because the expectations were so high, and then against Georgia they did what they did, and then we had so many penalties this last game. But
Y'all had some sacks too against Vanderbilt too.
yeah, so I guess just continue to work on that. Defense continue to keep doing what they're doing, just because I mean they're being menaces on the field, so can't complain about that. But yeah, I mean we're on the bye. I'm confident our next game we got Florida at home. I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, I might go to that game. It's at 11.
Yeah,
Yeah, because we play Missouri at night, so I might go to that and
yeah.
then.
So we got Florida at home, um, and then at Arkansas, which I'm scared about because it's never easy to play
But
there.
you got it at 11.
They're
That's
also
nice.
They're also a big rival of ours, so it don't matter what
Yeah.
time the game is. The game could be at 2 in the morning. Them teams gonna show out 6 a.m. They're still gonna be there. So versus Kentucky, I'm not worried about. Then obviously at
Yeah.
A&M, that could be the game that determines who goes to the SEC championship.
hmm
Um, we talked about on the week after. I think we lose the game, but they're very beatable. All you gotta do is shut down that defensive line. I know it's a big task, but it's very possible. LSU did it for one half. The second half, they just kind of got to them. But if you can shut down the defensive line, get to their secondary, you're gonna win the game. Stop the run, control the run. You're gonna win the game. So yeah, continue to be great. That's all I got.
I like it.
Um,
I like it.
AP poll was shaken up a bit this past week as Miami rose to number 5 while Texas falls one spot to number 6. Schools such as Notre Dame, Texas A&M, and BYU entered the top 10 for the first time this season. Colorado and Washington have made their first top 25 appearance this season, while Vanderbilt is already out following their loss to UT. However, they are the most voted team that did not make the top 25. Lastly, following their loss to A&M, LSU drops 8 spots to 16. So that's the AP poll this week. I can pull it up on here. College football, would be rankings. Bam. Oregon 1, Georgia 2, Penn State 3, Ohio State 4, or I guess we can go to 12 now.
hmm
Miami 5, Texas 6, Tennessee 7, Notre Dame 8, BYU 9, A&M 10, Iowa State 11. They're Clemson and Iowa State are tied at. So that's interesting. How does that
Yeah.
work? Like if it
They
was playoff time, It's just how
Oh, if it was playoff
like
time, yeah.
say if this was the final roster for playoffs, how does that work? Because
Well,
the 12th spot would go to.
yeah, no one would be tied because you would just have like the AP poll is just strictly voting, or the coaches poll is just strictly voting. So if the voting points equals to the same number, then they're going to tie. When they do the playoff committee, there's going to be a clear
Somebody a
cut.
clear cut.
Somebody's
Okay.
better because they're going to pull in all
Yeah.
kind of other variables, strength of schedule. I mean, even injuries. Like, I mean, we saw last year with Florida State, the team was undefeated, but they had their starting QB out and the backup QB out, and that was like in the committee's eyes. Yeah, their record's good, but
Yeah.
are they now? Are they the fourth best team? No, they're not. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
As far as the top 12 goes, even the top 25, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mad at it. I mean, obviously, every week you're always going to have some, I would put this team there, put that team there conversations. But
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, it's pretty good. Like I said, I still think Georgia, this was before we even played Georgia. I still thought Georgia was the best team in the country. The
Mm-hmm.
reason they're at number 2 is, I guess, because they have a loss, but they are better than
Mm-hmm.
Oregon, in my opinion. They're the best team in the country, should be number 1. Um, but I'm not mad at it. I mean, you got a big game this weekend, Penn State, Ohio State, which we'll touch on a little bit
Mm-hmm.
later. Should we be ranked ahead of Miami? I'm gonna say yes, but they're undefeated. They're doing their thing, so I guess we can't complain about that. But then again, Georgia is ranked number 2 with a loss that ahead of in Ohio State. So at the end of the day, it really don't matter until college football playoff comes out, and you still got to win the rest of your games. But I think we should be ranked ahead of Miami. Tennessee, think they should be ranked a little bit lower. Offense just isn't that great. Uh, they're kind of like y'all, just young quarterbacks. They just got to find their footing and get it together. I think both
Yeah,
of
their running
those.
back has 17 touchdowns. I saw it the other day. I was like,
Yeah,
God,
he's
Lee,
good.
that's
He's good.
insane. Yeah.
Um, but I think both of y'all's quarterbacks just find their footing,
Mm-hmm.
y'all are gonna be pretty difficult to beat, especially
Yeah.
Tennessee because they have a disgusting defense.
Yeah.
So Notre Dame, they just put a whooping on Navy. They should probably be ranked ahead of Tennessee, in my opinion. I don't know what if you
It's
would
because of
agree.
it's because of their loss.
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
it was a
their
bad
loss.
loss, but Tennessee did lose to Arkansas. But I guess it's not as bad as
It's
what was
not
it
as
like
bad as
Northern
NIU.
Iowa or whatever
Yeah.
it was. Yeah,
Yeah. Northern Illinois.
Illinois. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But you got BYU undefeated. Surprised a lot of us because they did a complete 360. In my opinion, that
Yeah, they were
they
the
played.
worst team in the Big 12
Yeah,
last
and
year.
that defense was horrid. And now this year,
Horrible.
that's like one of their best attributes is their defense. So
Mm-hmm.
kudos to them. Probably going to win the Big 12. Probably going to have a first round bye. A&M. I mean, I've been harping on them. It's very beatable. If you can just contain the line of scrimmages on both ends, you're going to win the game. Iowa State, another surprise. Not really a surprise because we've kind of known them just to always be a team that was good and hang around. It'll be
Mm-hmm.
a
And
good.
they have an older team, so once they every couple of years when they have that older team, they're always really difficult to beat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be a good game between them and BYU.
Yeah. Do they play?
I don't think they play in the regular season. I think it's yeah, no, it's gonna be in the Big 12
But
championship.
Iowa State plays K State at the end of the year, so
Yeah,
that'll be a good game.
at least it's home for them. It's gonna be cold as
Yeah.
hell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Last year was literally a blizzard.
Um, Clemson, they kind of struggled ish, right?
Nah.
Against Virginia,
I mean,
yeah,
Virginia has a good offense, but I mean, they still won by 17. That's
yeah.
like a good win.
But
I
they
mean,
didn't. I think they got a pick at the end, which they scored another touchdown on.
no,
Those were
I
like
thought Virginia got like
it
a
was
garbage time
something.
TD because it was 48 or 40 whatever to 31. I turned to the game and Virginia was like in the red zone with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. So I'm like, it was like a late score to make
And
it closer.
I had Cade Klub next to throw 3 touchdowns on my prize picks, and I was kind of a little scared there, and I had this demon, and then he came. The boy came through, man. He respects the coin. Can't say that for others around here, but he respects the coin. There's some people on the ban list out there. But no, I think Clemson's gonna win the ACC, so they're gonna have a first round bye. But it's interesting. So does everybody just kind of drop? So you got BYU ranked 9, Iowa
Mhm.
State ranked 11, Clemson ranked 11, 12. If Clemson's ranked 11, they win the
Mhm.
ACC. They're a top 4 team. So
Yeah,
that just shift
yeah.
everybody down.
Yep. The that's why the
Okay.
poll isn't going to matter because whenever they do this ranking in November, like back in the day, they would still do like a poll. But I think I don't know how they're going to do it, but I would assume they're going to just do it strictly like a bracket style, and they're just going to like show the 12 teams in the field every week in
Yeah,
November. So that's kind of what I think they're going to
yeah.
do. Yeah.
And then the biggest news of it all, Indiana breaks the top 20. They're number 13. I personally think they should be a little bit higher. I think they should be in the
Hmm.
top 10 conversation.
I agree.
Um,
They should be top 10,
I
I
was gonna
think.
say, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they should be top 10 for sure. I mean, they've splattered everyone they played. Even with a backup, they didn't really look like they took that much of a drop off. And I think I don't really know like why. Well, BYU does have that like, great win against K State, so I guess that helps. So I can see why BYU could be ahead, and I can see why A&M too. I feel like they're kind of properly ranked, but I also feel like they could be top 10 as well. So I feel like kind of leaving them where they are, I understand it, but I also would like for them just to kind of challenge the narrative because I still feel like there's a lot of lazy voters in the AP poll, which is why they really honestly should just be no ranking until the playoff poll comes out, and they should start that in October, in my opinion, is what they should do. But um, there's a lot of lazy voters. Like there's people that literally they have probably never watched the Indiana game this year, and they probably have not liked they're probably like, oh yeah, they're undefeated, but like it's Indiana. They still got that,
Yeah.
this is like a basketball school. Like
And
they
they
should,
won with the backup quarterback, and the way they
yeah,
won should tell you a lot about the team.
yeah, I agree. So, but I like them. I think they're a solid team, and I'm happy for them. It's good to see a program like that do well. Like we said in the week after. Now we don't know if the coach will stay there long because usually a coach like that will get poached. But if he does stay there, that'd be sick. I like for Indiana to turn into like, oh, we're playing Indiana this week. Like this isn't an easy game. They could be like a staying power in college football. That'd be nice. So
Yeah. But no, I mean, for the most part, I like it. It's a fair ranking for the most part.
mhm.
I think they will always just have a ranking system just for TV purposes.
Mhm.
People always want to see that number
That's
one, number
true.
five matchup and whatnot. Like it brings more eyes to the TV than
That's
if there was
true.
no ranking. So I think that'll always kind of be there.
Yeah.
Do you like the AP more than the coaches poll, or do you think the coaches poll is more
I'm a
accurate?
coaches poll guy.
Okay.
Now I do think the coaches poll there is like some hating in there at times, but and like obviously like can the coaches really watch everybody?
Yeah.
No. So I kind of like it for the aspect is like these are coaches. So I feel like they just know ball, but also they people should be what we go by because it is the media. These are people that aren't only invested in their program. The problem is with the AP poll, there's just like I just feel like there's just too many like East Coast and West Coast people on these instead of like I feel like there needs to be more like central time
Yeah.
zone where people can watch both games. If you're on the West Coast, you probably don't care much about East Coast games or you're not going to watch certain things, especially like there's some games that are super early, that start super early. Those 11 o'clock games on the West Coast start at 9. You know what I mean? Like there's some people that might not be up or might not be watching that. Then you got the late games that start on the West Coast that are starting at 11:30 or even 12:30 on the East Coast. There's been 10:30 kickoff times for some games. So, just stuff like that. I feel like
Yeah.
it just like limits people from like really consuming it. So
Other big news is Colorado's ranked in the top 25. You and Mr. Shonee had a lot to say about them this offseason.
we did.
They're kind of proving you wrong. They're in the top 25. Still possible to win the Big 12. But in here it says the Big 12 is in shambles. The teams finished to predict in the top five of the Big 12. One Utah, two Kansas, three Oklahoma State, two Kansas State, four Kansas, five Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And now they have a combined record of 19 and 21. Without Kansas State, you would be looking at a record of 12 and 20. But those four teams having a combined conference record of 3 and 17. That's horrible. Is it safe
Jeez.
to say nobody is occurring? And who do you expect to come out of the Big 12 race that includes Colorado, Kansas State, Iowa State, and BYU? I kind of already said mine. I think BYU and Iowa State will probably be the two left in the standings when it's all said and done. It
Mm-hmm.
will be interesting to see what happens to the loser. I feel like the loser should still make the playoffs. That's just me. They're both one of them will have one loss, and it's going to be to the conference winner, which is
Yeah,
looking like to be ranked inside the top 10 at this point. So I
yeah,
feel like one of them should still make the playoffs.
yeah, for sure. As a at large seed, because I mean, it just kind of depend on these other conferences, and I think obviously they're going to need like a team like Indiana to like lose a game outside the Ohio State game, like lose another game. They're going to need kind of LSU and Alabama. Obviously, they're going to play each other, but then they're going to probably need like one of those teams to lose, another game. Um, Ole Miss is going to, I feel like they're going to get knocked off themselves. They're going to lose to Georgia. And even with Texas and Texas A&M, they're, they probably like for one of y'all to get clipped again before y'all match up, So I think it's possible. I'm just gonna be. It's gonna be a good team is gonna get left out still this year, and I
Yeah,
think,
it's
uh,
inevitable.
yeah, and I think like when people are like, oh, like it's the expanded playoffs, like yeah, it's great because it's giving way more teams a chance. Like, I mean, technically the whole top 25 could all go. Like
Yeah,
Missouri could win out and get luck in and get in. Now I don't think they will, and I don't think they're. I think even if they went 10-2, I think their team would be looked at as like because their schedule's it's fairly easy. I think their team would be like, like this isn't a playoff caliber team, so they probably get left out. But technically, they're still in the hunt right now. So, I'm excited to see like how this finishes up, and then it's supposed to expand to probably 16 teams in 2026. They said 14, but I think it's going to go to 16, just based off of some of the stuff that's came out, and that's going to make it even crazier because there's teams that are not ranked right now that could make it if it goes to 16, like a Duke who just lost, or
yeah,
just teams like that. So
yeah. Um, and then another big news. I think we kind of already touched this, but after a flat start against LSU, Texas A&M head coach Mike Elko replaced starter Connor Wegman with the backup Marcel Reed. It seemed to make the difference as he would go on to score 3 offensive touchdowns in a much-needed SEC win against a dominant LSU team. If Aggies do move forward with the Marcel Reed as their starter, do we see an adjustment in the offensive play calling, and do we believe their ceiling rises? Um, so I just saw that they're both getting snaps as the
mm-hmm,
first string quarterback. So they're both.
mm-hmm,
I guess it's not fully Marcel Reed's job, which I feel like it should be.
mm-hmm,
But I think their offense completely changes. I feel like this is a quarterback more of calling clients, um, more of what he wants in his
mm-hmm,
offense. That's just kind of quarterback he was. So
mm-hmm.
I feel like it does change. I feel like their ceiling is higher just because old boy is fast and he can do a lot with his legs. And you have to worry about the running backs that are very good running backs, and then B, a quarterback who can run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
If you try to go for the running back and he pulls it for
Yeah.
10 yards, 30 yards, whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the passing game goes, it's still a question mark. We haven't really had to seen him pass that much. I guess the Arkansas game was the only game, but it'll still be a question mark going forward. They have a tough defense coming up against South Carolina, so we'll see how that goes. But
Yeah.
I think it should be his job. I think their ceiling should be higher, and I think their offense is completely different than what you're used to seeing.
Yeah. I think Colin Klein, the OC, this fits him better. I think as an offensive game plan. Obviously, if you guys know about him in college, he was a run or dual threat type of a quarterback at Kansas State. So very good QB in my opinion. And then obviously he's been taking the play calling duties over at A&M. And now he can do more. Obviously Connor Wegman isn't the athlete Reed is. He's a better prototypical thrower of the football, but in Colin Klein's offense, you don't really need an electric, ability to throw the football. You just need to be able to make, anywhere I would say from like 13 to or 14 to 18 completions a game with the running backs they have and then the way they can run the football with the QB. I think if you're anywhere in that kind of bucket, that's kind of what you look for. I don't think you want a QB like Reed to get up into the 20s in pass attempts. If you can kind of keep it there, I think it kind of fits the Elko mold, the defensive coach who knows he has a really good defensive line. They know they have a good offensive line and good trench play. And it is I think it's a championship winning formula. However, if you can hold up that defensive line, like Carlos has mentioned, and like we said in the last episode for the week after, that secondary is pretty weak. And if they get into the playoffs, they're going to be playing teams that might not be able to completely contain a defensive line, but they'll be able to hold their own. And then that's when plays will be made. And then you also got to be able to throw the football against some of these better teams, especially if they go up on a couple scores on you and you're playing from behind. So, yeah.
Yeah. And now we got onto our Week 10 matchups. If you want to start it off, break it down. I don't know if you want to go top to
Yeah.
bottom, bottom to top.
Can you pull up outlier as well?
Yeah, yeah.
So we can use that as a reference. But yeah, I'll start it off. We're gonna go. Let's see here. We'll start it off with the Duke and Miami game. Interesting matchup. Miami is obviously a good team right now, but they've squeaked by in their last couple of games besides the Florida State game, and Florida State's just not a good football team at all. They're bad. So Miami, I think this is a game where they got to kind of have another statement win. They got to win by multiple scores, in my opinion. Duke honestly should have got smacked last week. The game went to overtime because SMU turned the ball over 6 times. Their offense isn't that good. They have a good defense, as Carlos is showing you guys right now. But I don't know. I think Miami should take care of business. I don't really think this game will be that close. What's the spread on this?
The spread is
minus 20.
Minus 20.
Minus 20. Yeah, I think that's a lot of points. I think Miami has the offense to do this, but Duke plays a certain brand of football where I don't think they're going to get as many possessions. Is that you can see Miami win by like 17, but 20 is a lot in my opinion, and I like the under.
Yeah. I mean, I said if you can score some points on Miami's defense, there's a chance to beat them. Now watching Duke for some weeks because my boy Malik Murphy, shout out Malik Murphy, their offense just isn't built to score a lot of points, and you have to do that against a team like this. Their defense is good. I don't think it's going to be good enough to stop Miami. Miami's just an offense from hell. Yeah. I do think they cover. I do think they beat them by 20, and I am picking the over on the game as well.
Okay.
Their offense just not going to be able to stay on the field for a long amount of time.
That's completely fair.
So, yeah, I got Miami covering and the over on the game. Next, we got Oregon at Michigan. So far, Texas the only team to beat Michigan at home.
Yeah, they're still not good.
Still stand. I mean, I'm just saying, man.
Hey,
I'm just saying. And that number one's a curse.
But their situation is so bad that QB they brought in against Washington, this man retired the other day.
He for sure retired.
I know you've seen that.
He for sure retired.
I was like,
now they're back at
honestly, I would just play Alex Orji and just ride it out.
Yeah, wasn't named Warren.
Yeah, they got Warren and then and then Alex. I mean, I just might as well and you know what I'd be doing? I'd be on the phone with everybody that I think is going to enter the portal QB wise because they got to get off the line. You got to get off the line, and I'd be trying to flip somebody too from high school.
Connor Wegman.
Because they need QBs bad and they need multiple. They don't. There's really nobody there with the team with the running backs and also too their wide receivers are just weak. Like they don't really have any like elite skill on the perimeter. So we'll see what they do. I think this is a team. I think Michigan's a program that's going to have to kind of have a couple tough years to get back to playing championship caliber football. Now it is Michigan. They have the resources. They have the backing to get there quicker. But I think they need to go get a couple QBs, kind of find a guy they can build around for a couple years, and you're going to take your lumps if you get a true freshman or someone like that. Yeah. But yeah, I like it. I like Oregon though in the game.
So we got Oregon Michigan lines at 14.5, points at 44.5. I'm going to take the under on the points, and I'm going to take Michigan to cover the spread. Michigan does have a great defense. I'm still going to be high on them. Their crowd's still going to show out. I don't think it'll be hard. It's not going to be easy to play there in general.
No doubt.
Oregon is still suspect, in my opinion, even though they are undefeated, even though they cheated and beat Ohio State. They are still suspect, in my opinion, and I think they are beatable. And this is Michigan still wants to make a bowl game. and they
Yeah.
could still do that. Um, and with them winning this game, I feel like that will just help the recruits that are committed, B, recruiting, and C, like you said, guys in the transfer portal who want to come play offense or defense over there. Just winning games like this is just still a big thing. Um,
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Oregon lost. I'm gonna say that.
yeah, I personally don't think this game's gonna be close at all. I think Oregon wins by like 15 plus. They just have they match up well with them in the trenches. They have a great defensive line. They have a great offensive line. They're hitting their stride. Dylan Gabriel's playing good football. And
I feel like a lot of their success does come from the running game, and that's where Michigan will probably shut that down.
yeah, but they haven't really shut that down against other teams that are worse than Oregon. I mean, Minnesota was able to move the football on them. Washington was able to move the football on them.
But Washington got a very good running back.
So
I
does
guess
Oregon.
Jordan James is pretty good too.
So
we'll
does,
see.
yeah. I don't know. I just
I
think
mean,
Oregon is
there's.
just way better.
It's just hard to say they're not shutting it down when they're 15th in the country out of 100 and what was it 60 or 132 teams.
Yeah, they're good, but I mean, like they're also not playing any dynamic. This will be the first dynamic offense they played
That's
outside
true.
of Texas, and they just have no answers offensively. Like they played USC, but USC isn't the same USC they've been in the past. But like Oregon is just. I just think they're just more complete team. They just have guys all over the field, and I don't know. I don't think Michigan matches up well with them at all.
We'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if you look up at the clock.
I just think you just kind of
it.
hate on Oregon from last year. I know with the playoffs and stuff. I know
What they do to us?
It's a Texas
We
thing.
made it.
Yeah.
They didn't.
Yeah, they lost. That's why. But
yeah, I mean, it ain't nothing to hang about. They made it. We made it. They didn't. But no, I mean, I'm not. I hate on them. I just
and Will Stein is a hell of a OC. I think he'll have he'll be able to attack Michigan. They're not no world beaters. So next we have
I don't know why
next we have Florida at Georgia, or not at Georgia. They're playing neutral site. They're playing in Jacksonville.
Hate it.
But
you hate it, huh?
Yeah, it is what it is. But I think Georgia will take care of business. However, I think Florida is much improved. I think they're a lot better. Obviously, Georgia just came off that Texas win, came off a bye. This is a rivalry game, so Kirby Smart, I mean, that dude can motivate with the best of them. However, I do think 16.5 is a lot. I think Georgia wins the game by like 10 or 14, but I think with DJ Lagway, Florida playing better football. I mean, they took Tennessee to the wire. They just blew out Kentucky, who, played Georgia really tough earlier in the year. I think Florida plays them tough. A rivalry game. Georgia coming off a bye, a little slower start.
Side note, the next two games are also going to be neutral sites as well. They'll be in Florida, but I'm pretty sure they're neutral sites.
For who?
Georgia, Florida.
Yeah, they're moving one to Atlanta, and then I think because they're doing the renovations to the Jaguars Stadium. Yeah. So, but yeah, nonetheless, I like Florida to cover here.
Now you aren't gonna like what I'm about to say, and I don't mean it this way at all. But I don't think you'll see the same Georgia team that you saw against Texas. I think they got up to play for Texas, not because it was Texas, but because of just what the media was saying about Texas and Georgia. They just wanted to, make a statement.
Yeah. This is a rivalry, though.
It's a rivalry game.
It's a rivalry game. Change anything.
Yeah. Well, they're just played a lot more closer than for the most. Yeah, if the teams are good, if the teams are like good teams, rivalry games. Even then, I mean, we went 5-7 and beat y'all. So
but Georgia the way I don't know. I've seen them play Florida these last couple of years, and they still they turn up for this game in a way too. Still, let me see the last couple of years what they've done.
Well, Florida's just been bad the last couple of years too, like really bad.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now I think they're starting to find more of their identity. But if Billy does get fired, they're gonna have to be really bad again. But 2:30 kickoff ABC. What we got? Georgia favorite 6.5, over under 52.5. I mean, I'm an upset guy, man. I'm an upset guy. I don't think Florida's gonna win, but I'll pick them to cover, and I'm gonna pick the over on the points. But I'll pick them to cover. I think I think they're just gonna see something a little bit different out of DJ, and I think that's gonna be the difference maker in the game. I don't think they're not that they're not gonna be prepared for DJ, just because obviously here's the clear number one QB, but I don't. There's just not enough tape on of DJ and what DJ can actually do. And I think
Mm-hmm.
he's just getting more and more comfortable as each play and each drive goes on. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna go with Florida, man. I think they're gonna cover. I think they're over on the points. I think they're gonna score some points, and a lot of people are gonna be surprised of what Florida can do, and maybe it'll save Billy's job. They're gonna lose, yes, but depending on how they lose is a big thing.
No, for sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, he's coaching for his job the rest of the year. I think obviously it was unfortunate for Graham Mertz to get hurt, but DJ Lagway is the future, the higher ceiling. You got to go with him. You got to let him show what he can do against some. He's got some games. I mean, you got Georgia, you got Texas coming up, so you got some teams where you put some good stuff on tape and kind of feel good about building around him. So,
Yeah. Um,
um,
Next, you got Texas Tech at Iowa State.
yeah, this is an interesting game because Texas Tech has been so
And
up and
nobody
down.
watching this game unless you
I
got that
mean,
YouTube TV.
yeah, but Texas Tech has been so up and down. They are good, but they just play up and down, like to their competition. You can tell they're a team that's very talented that hasn't had that kind of talent in years, if ever, at Lubbock, and they don't know how to kind of like manage it as a coaching staff, culture, any of that.
You would figure
That
their rushing offense would be higher than what it is with the running back that they have.
I mean, they're still averaging 170 a game. That's a lot.
Yeah, but
They probably it's
55th,
probably just it's
who is
probably just
higher?
him. It's probably just him
It
though.
is just him.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like it's probably not by committee or anything like these other schools are, or have like they don't have a running QB. And that's another thing. Last week their QB got hurt, Morton, but they put in Will Hammond. Shout out Will Hammond. He went to Hutto. But he had a good first start. I mean, he played really well. Put up some good points. They just blew the game. They just choked the game. They shouldn't have lost. They were up by a lot on TCU on the road and ended up losing the game. So it's just something they got to fix with the coaching. It's an issue, but I like Iowa State here. Iowa State, I don't like the spread. I think it's a little high. I don't think Iowa State has an offense that's like that good or that dynamic.
Well, it's just looking at these two respective offensive defenses. They're both piss poor.
Tech's defense is bad.
They're both piss poor.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. I mean, because Tech is allowing 308 yards of offense in the air, and they're also allowing another 157 yards on the ground. But you look at Iowa State. Iowa State is allowing 137 yards a game, and they're allowing
really good.
170 rushing yards.
Their pass
defense is good, but their rush defense is where they struggle a lot.
Yeah.
So I think with Taj being who he is, that will probably open up the pass game a lot.
Yeah.
So I think this will be a high scoring game. But
Yeah, and
like
I think
you're
it's
saying,
like gotta have a spot too. I mean, I feel like Tech could, if they went out, I feel like they might be in that mix for the title.
Yeah.
Because they'd have this head to head. You would need Iowa State to lose again to like K-State or someone else. But they ain't out of it yet. Like, obviously it's a slim chance, but they're not out of it yet. So
yeah. I got Iowa State. I got Tech to cover the spread, but Iowa State to win the game. I'm gonna pick the over on the points as well. I mean, they're just too high scoring. I mean, what's his name playing?
Who?
Mortar?
Morton? I'm not
Morton?
sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. If he plays, I got Texas Tech money line. But if he doesn't play, then I got Iowa State to win. But not cover.
Actually,
It should say it. You gotta. It should. I thought it says like. Yeah.
Injuries. Oh, look at your boy. Head.
Yeah, he's probable. He'll play.
He's probable.
Yeah, he'll play. I'm assuming he'll play. Look at this. See, that's why you guys got to use Outlier, man. He got all the analytics. He got the injuries. Got everything for you to make your accurate bet and get paid. So make sure you guys use the link in the description. Get you a little 7-day free trial and let us know how you like it.
I'm not gonna touch too much on this game. I think it'll be an absolute just blowout. We'll look at the injuries though. He is questionable. I saw that he was going to come back week 10, and I believe we're on week 10. So I don't think it really matters if he does or doesn't come back. I still think they take care of business.
Yeah, I'm gonna counter that. I think Jonathan Smith is one of the best coaches in the sport. He just got the job from Oregon State, and they have Aiden Childs, who's a good QB. I mean, they played Michigan tough. They got Nick Marsh, who's a really good receiver as well. I think they'll play them tougher than we think, especially Indiana going on the road. You know, I'm not gonna say they're feeling themselves or anything like that, but I think Michigan State will. I mean, they've already played Oregon. They've already played Michigan. They played some tough teams already, so I think they'll be well coached and ready. So I think they keep it close-ish, but I still think I have Indiana to cover for sure. 7.5.
I mean, I haven't watched too much of Michigan State, but just looking at this, like being, I guess, a mid-tier passing team and then a bottom-tier rushing team.
Yeah.
And then with Indiana's defense being so good,
yeah, I mean, they haven't really played like any dynamic offenses either.
No, Indiana but the thing is, when you're a good team,
oh yeah, it shows up everywhere.
Well, when you're a good team, you win the games how Indiana's winning the games, and they're taking care of business all 4 quarters. I would agree. So
I'd agree.
They're averaging 287 passing yards and 206 rushing yards. So it shows they're a complete team. They can run and pass the ball. And they just did it with a backup quarterback as well.
Yeah, they just haven't been on the road in a while, and I just like Michigan State playing some tough games already, and I feel like you got them at home. Your coach is really damn good as well. So I kind of like that spot for them. I just feel like Indiana's they're gonna get out their comfort zone a little bit. I mean, the last time they went on the road was against like Northwestern, and Northwestern isn't good, and they played at like a practice facility essentially. So then they went to UCLA or something like that. I think Indiana. So it's like now's at the beginning of the year. So I just feel like it'll be just a little different. It'll just be on. It's I'm not gonna say they're gonna lose, but I think Michigan State plays them better.
When they played them good teams, I guess Iowa. I mean,
they beat Iowa.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying, I guess Iowa, but I'm saying when they play the good teams, they just get blown out. I mean,
yeah.
Ohio State 38-7, Oregon 31-10, and
those are like okay. They're a different tier though. Like they're a different tier than Indiana.
Historically, but we're talking about this season.
Right. Even right now, they still are.
Maybe we don't know that.
I know, but they're still.
You don't know that.
They're still clearly the favorites to go to the. I'm just saying, like,
if they were to play in Indiana, like you just don't know if Indiana will win or not.
If Indiana were to play one of those two teams, those teams would be favored by a touchdown, probably both of them. That's all. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're still in a different tier than Indiana right now, like on paper, I would say. So those you kind of expect.
We're gonna find out.
It's a first time head coach with a freshman QB. You know.
Where they play, Indiana does play at Ohio State, so if they do win, give them the respect, man.
They got a tough.
They're just in the same bracket.
This spot, these 3 games are pretty tough. I mean, going on the road to East Lansing isn't going to be easy. Then they got Michigan at home. It's still Michigan. Then they go to Ohio State. So this will really show us right now if they're legit, which I think they are. But it's going to be. It's going to be a challenge.
I mean, I think they're just going to continue to take care of business. I got no cover on the spread. I got the over on the points.
All right. Next we got. Let's see here. Can you scroll up on the other thing, Carlos?
It's right here.
Bet. Okay, so next we got A&M at South Carolina. You know what I'm saying? A good old sandstorm. I think this game's at night. Is it at 6:30?
Yeah, it's at 6:30.
Yeah. So I think South Carolina money line. Simple, right? My mom went there. It's going to be loud. It's going to be late. That's one of the hardest places to play in the country when they're rocking. The stadium, the team obviously is struggling 4-3, but they have a ton of momentum with Beamer. Just came off.
There's some games that, one different play, one different injury, their season could look a lot different.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Holding call against Alabama. Yeah. Season could look a lot different.
LSU.
Injury against LSU. It could be a lot different. A late hit against LSU could be a lot. Their season could look a lot different.
Yeah, they could be. This could be game day.
I don't know what happened on Ole Miss. Ole Miss just dog walked them. There's not much I can say there.
Well, they lost the game themselves. They turned the ball over early, and it was like our game when we played them. Like Ole Miss got up on them 14-0 in like 2 minutes, and then it was over. But I like South Carolina, man. I do. I think I think obviously Reed is a dynamic quarterback, but I think that actually I think the matchup is good for them. They have a great defensive line. Their secondary is good and long and athletic, and I think they match up with the running QB.
I mean, you look at their defense overall; it's probably like a top 25 defense.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I think Lenore Sellers and stuff like that, like
7 sacks a game, you're gonna win some ball games getting 7 sacks a game. Obviously, their offense is, or you're just gonna hold some teams to a minimum getting 7 sacks a game.
And I just.
Oh no, I'm sorry, wrong one. 4 sacks a game. I'm looking at tackles for loss.
They're tied for third in the country.
Yeah, 4 sacks a game is a lot.
So I think they match up well. I think this is going to be an ugly, sloppy game. Loud.
I think it's their defense, man. Their defensive line.
Yeah, both teams' defensive line. South Carolina's
defensive line. I'm talking about their the A&M defensive line to South Carolina's offensive line.
Yeah,
A&M still does have a very good offensive line.
Yeah, I would agree, but I just think the level. I just think the game that A&M is going to want to play is going to work in South Carolina's favor.
But trying to run. You see what I mean? 233 and a half yards a game passing. They're 92nd. If you could just get to their secondary, you're going to win the game.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah, I like the. I think it's going to be. I like the under. I like South Carolina money 9. Give me the Gamecocks.
I mean, it's basically a pick 'em. It's 2.5. So
yeah, I'm telling you.
I'm going to take the under as well. You know me, I'm an upset guy. I always want A&M to lose, so I'm going to go South Carolina.
Yes, sir. We love it.
Oh, Gamecocks.
We love it.
I mean, this next one's a big, not really that much of a big one. They're going to continue to ride and take care of business, but you got Clemson versus Louisville. Louisville on the road. It's never easy to play at Clemson. What's the game at? What time's the game? 11 o'clock.
It's at 6:30. It's right there.
Oh, it's at 6:30?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm right on it.
Yeah,
I got. Bit me.
I like Clemson
I'm getting Clemson to keep rolling.
But damn, Louisville is dangerous. That's all I'm gonna say. Like I saw them just come back on the road against Boston College in a weekday game, and their offense can put up some points. So
yeah, but I think it's just completely different team from that Georgia game. I don't know what Georgia did to them, and maybe they just put a new life in them. I don't know, but it's a completely different team from the Georgia game. I think they continue to take care of business and keep rolling. They do still have. I mean, it's Clemson. Even with BV being gone, they still do have a good defense.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it shows right here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
just like middle in the area. It's like average.
Yeah. But that's good enough to win you games.
Yeah.
Against teams like this as well.
Mm-hmm.
But their offense is what's really catching people's eyes. They're finally rolling, and Cade's finally being who everybody thought Cade was going to be.
Yeah.
I think it should be take care of business. What they got? I was gonna say 14 plus. So they had 11. So I was.
They lead the country in first downs. That's crazy.
I was in the ballpark, so I was gonna say 14 plus, but yeah, I mean I got Clemson covering and the over on the points. They like to run up the score a little bit and put some points on the board. Lately they've been getting them out of the fourth quarter. So the past 2 games they haven't done that, but all the other games besides that, fourth quarter, starters are out.
Yeah, I like Clemson as well. I like them in this spot. I think they're better. Like I said, Louisville is dangerous. I like the over on the points. I think Louisville they'll put up some points.
They both played Virginia at Virginia. Look, record versus common opponent. They both won, but Louisville was in a little tougher game than Clemson was.
Yeah.
So some other insight to see right there. But yeah, I got Clemson taking care of business, man.
Alrighty, I like it. I like it. Now we got University of Kentucky at University of Tennessee. Shout out my boy Dave, man. He put it in one of his props this week. He thinks it's gonna be a splattering, and I'm riding with the man. I think it's gonna be. I don't think the game's gonna be close, and I think it's because Kentucky's got a lot of injuries right now. They're pretty banged up as a team. Obviously they've had a great upset against Ole Miss on the road. Played Georgia great early in the season, but I think they're just getting banged up, and I don't think they have enough depth. I think Tennessee is finding some things that they can work with. And I mean, right now, if you look at these advanced analytics, like you see how bad Kentucky's offense, one of the worst in the country, and Tennessee's defense is one of the best in the country. So I think that's going to completely be a factor. And then I look for Josh Heupel and Nico and Dylan Sampson, those guys to put up some points. I like Tennessee to cover 16. here.
It's blackout game, man. They're dressing up for a funeral out here. It's Tennessee by a
Yeah,
million. Throw the house on Tennessee. Throw the
yeah.
house, pay
Should
off the
not be close.
mortgage here.
This game should
Okay?
not be close at all.
This game should not be close. What's the
Yeah,
spread? 16? I think they beat them by like
by
21.
20. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
I got Tennessee covering the spread over on the points. I think they'll put some
And
points
these
up on the
teams
board
do
this
not
game.
like each other. They're like
No, they
rivals,
always
actually.
fight.
Yeah, they're like rivals. It's gonna be lit and kneeling. I'm sure the fans gonna be drunk. Like it's gonna be a good time there.
Yeah. So yeah, I got the Volunteers. Little bro winning the game.
I like it. Now we got Pitt at number 18, Pitt
Ooh.
at number 20, SMU. SMU minus 7.5. This is a college
out, man. They gotta
college game
show
day.
out.
College game day, I think, kind of sold. Obviously, you got to go to the Penn State game, which I don't even think it's college game day. I just think ESPN. This game is on ACC Network. I think Kirk Herbstreit and them. You know how they go flipping their college game day destination to the late game at night. I don't know why they're not going to this game. I feel like this was just a botched opportunity by the ACC. You have two teams that are undefeated. You got SMU playing for something in like 30 years. At home in Dallas. I don't understand that aspect, but I like SMU here. I do. I like them to win just outright. I'm not going to touch the spread. I think if they don't turn the football over and then Eli Holstein is banged up from Pitt, I think Pitt really has kind of gotten lucky. I mean, Cal missed a field goal late in the game against them. And then, even Syracuse put up more yards than them last week, even though they turned the ball over 5 times. If they don't turn those ball, if they turn the ball over a couple times, maybe that game looks a little different. They threw 3 pick sixes, right? I think that's a little fluky. I don't really think that's them making plays. I like SMU here to win. I do.
If we don't know what Eli's injury is, right?
Nah, I don't. I'm not sure. It probably has it up there.
It says undisclosed. But if he's playing, I'm gonna expect him to throw the ball, and he does like to rack up them yards, and it does look like SMU's pass defense isn't all that great, but on the road, at home, big game, top 25 matchup. They gotta keep wanting to contend for the ACC spot. I think they're doing a great job. That coach is doing a great job over there. I'm gonna keep them winning the game. I don't think they cover though. I think there's over on the points, but I don't think they cover the spread. I'm going Pitt to cover right here.
All right, I love it. And that last but not least, we have Carlos's
No,
underrated.
we got one more. The game that
duh.
That's college game day.
So we got Penn State,
which you do have a bone to pick with the Big Ten here, don't you?
Why? What makes you say that?
Right there. What's that say?
That big noon.
What are they doing at 11 o'clock?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know why this game's early in the morning. Obviously, I understand the TV deals and big noon kickoff, but this game should be at night. It should be the primetime spot at night, and it should be a whiteout game. I think Penn State every year they should reserve. They probably want to win when they have that. No, they should reserve it for the best opponent they're going to play every year, and that's probably Ohio State at this point. It could be Oregon some years now. Who knows? But this is a big game for both coaches. Ryan Day hasn't beaten the top 5 opponents since September 3rd, 2022, and he's lost 4 straight. James Franklin hasn't beaten the top 5 opponents since October 22nd, 2016. He's lost 10 straight. They face off this weekend in the top 5 matchup. So it's a huge spot for both coaches. Obviously, I think whoever loses this game still might. I think whoever loses still probably has a great shot at the playoff, in my opinion. But it just I don't know. I don't really even know who would be on the most pressure, right? Because Ryan.
Oh, we lost him. He'll be back here shortly. On Cameroni. You are good to go.
All right. So sorry for technical difficulties, but Ryan Day, he has struggled to beat.
Was he 1-7 against the top 5 teams?
Yeah, and he struggled to beat Michigan lately. That's been an issue. James Franklin can beat everyone but Michigan and Ohio State. So I think both coaches are under a lot of pressure. it's interesting now because there's a 12-team playoff, so it's not as much pressure, I think. But I feel like if I had to go with one, it's hard because I think Penn State, they brought in a new OC from Kansas. They completely revamped the offense. Ryan Day brought in Chip Kelly and spent all his money in the transfer portal. So, it's like it's dicey for both coaches. I don't think either gets fired. They've done great jobs this year, but I just, it cranks up a little bit, especially I think more so for James Franklin because it's like not only can he not beat Ohio State, they can't even beat Michigan. So that's been an issue as well. But, we'll see, man. Both coaches are under some pressure this week.
Yeah.
And then my winner, real quick, I will go with Ohio State. I think they're just a better team. I think they just match up better. So I like Ohio State. But
Yeah, I think this for me is more so of who do I want to win, who I don't want to see continue to win, and I think we all kind of know who that is. I would like to see Penn State actually get a big win this week. James Franklin's can't seem to get the big win, and that's kind of been the elephant in the room on his career. I would like to see them beat Ohio State. Ohio State I don't know if this necessarily knocks them out of the college football playoff, but they have two losses. They'll have two losses against two great teams that are obviously in the top four. So obviously those are the games you want to lose if you do lose games, but not playing in the Big 12 championship and being not, I guess, like a middle, not a quote unquote middle of the pack Big 10 team. Like you'll be ranked at below Penn State, Indiana.
yeah, if they lose, they won't go. If Penn State loses, they have a chance still.
Yeah, because they have a loss. So
yeah,
this is a bigger game for Ohio State. But I don't know, man. I mean, it's at Penn State. Even then, it's never really been an issue for Ohio State. But I'm just gonna go Penn State here. I want them to win. Was it Ohio State 4.5? I'm gonna go the under on the points. Actually, no. I'm gonna go the over on the points, and Penn State to cover. Penn State money line.
I like the under on the points, but
I just feel like you said that they both have great offenses and explosive offenses. With Penn State getting an offense coordinator from Kansas, they've shown a lot this year. I mean, there's a point in the season where I was like, I don't think Penn State can put up that many points, but they're proving to us that they can put up points. But they're also proving to us that they struggle and don't put up points. So I guess you just kind of have to see what kind of Penn State offense you're getting here, which hopefully it's the good one.
Yeah, I agree.
But sheesh, man. Looking at these games, I really don't know what's a good underrated game of the week here. Man.
Let's see.
It's tough out here.
Maybe Oklahoma State, Arizona State.
Yeah, but both those teams just aren't even in the hunt for anything anymore. So just like
Arizona State is. They only have one loss, I think, in conference. I'm pretty sure.
They're ninth in the Big 12.
They're 2-2.
Yeah.
I mean, they are if they went out. You never know.
Yeah. We'll keep it in the family, man. We'll keep it in the family.
Oh, I'm looking. I'm seeing.
No. We're gonna keep it in the family here. Where'd it go? Louisiana Monroe, which is a team that only has one loss to us, right?
Yeah, they're good right now.
And
did they lose last week? Check real quick. Yeah, they did. Damn.
They did. They lost. They got absolutely slaughtered last week. But I say, hold on, got you. Boom. Schedule. Louisiana Monroe at Marshall. Basically for Carl Chester, little donut boy. Just go, 2:30 kickoff. I know it's in the middle of some big games, but you got that YouTube TV or something you stowed up on another screen, or how we get down. We got 10 monitors going at once, watching all the games. But it's looking like both these teams can
Yeah.
win their side of
Yeah.
the division on the Sun Belt. So both these teams got to win. But yeah, I haven't really watched these two teams specifically,
But
but
Yo Monroe's gotten way better since they benched
yeah,
General Booty, or he got hurt. They benched him. There was
that's
something.
your boy, man. That's
No,
General
it's
Booty
not.
right there.
No, it's not.
That boy be doing more than Jay.
Anyways,
That boy General Booty should have been starting quarterback.
yeah, he's not even starting at his Group of 5 school now.
Yeah,
So
we just it's because
yeah, okay,
we had to show him what was gonna happen if he actually played us.
okay, yeah, he never was going to start at Oklahoma. That's the thing.
But yeah, underrated game of the week: Louisiana Monroe versus Marshall. Go Carl Chester. It's a tough spot because of the time frame, but if you want to tune in. Both these teams need a win to keep the division alive. So yeah,
Yeah, I love it. I love it. If you guys like this episode, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on all the socials, and check us out. So
yes sir.
We got it's getting to November, man. I mean, next
Don't
week the next week the show should be out, right? The playoff show is next week, right?
No,
It's in next week?
November 7th, I believe.
Okay. So I was like, damn. I was like, maybe we could.
No, November 5th, maybe.
5th. It has to be 5th. It's normally at the beginning of the week, like a Tuesday.
Yeah, November 5th, I think.
So yeah, but next week we should be able to touch on that. Start talking about the show and kind of giving all our thoughts off of what the committee initially does, and because I mean it's gonna kind of tell us what they're looking for criteria wise. So we won't really be like guessing anymore. You never know. They might throw Indiana at like 5 or something in that thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you never know.
We'll see. Big week for y'all. Bye week for us. Y'all should win. Y'all should dominate. Close it out. Not worried about too much there. But yeah, man. Let's have another great college football season. Hopefully some upsets brew, or just some close good games. That's the reason why we love college football. But it's your boy Los. It's your boy Cam. We'll catch y'all guys next time. Welcome.
Boomer.
I'll get that stuff out of here, man.